Moonspire. Tessa! Flying. I dance on top the chopper's rotor mast, buzz the open glass enclosure, slip in and sit on the head of the young man administering a series of pain medicine. Sit on the woman's shoulder. She's trying to stop the bleeding, applying pressure. The pilot murmurs to air traffic control he's ready for takeoff. When the chopper lifts off the ground, I slip through the bottom but zip back inside or outside at will, alighting on either, both of the landing skids. A big red cross tells people this is an emergency vehicle, one used by the local hospital. The chopper will fly my body to Harborview in Seattle, where they will stop trying to keep me alive because they can't. Only God can issue that order, and he's not. He's calling this daughter home, but not quite yet. The paramedics are keeping my heart pumping, but with a crushed neck, they're only performing their duties until a doctor can call time of death, which will be when we arrive, when they move me onto the ground and roll me into the ER. The woman acts in quick, sharp motions. She has a child around my age. She's transferring the experience into her own child. The young man has no children, just a dog named Boxer, a short fawn-colored pooch with soft eyes and a square face. The young man doesn't transfer his emotions onto his dog. He's thinking about the woman who is becoming increasingly desperate to save me. Beth, he says. His words jar her. He continues. She's not going to make it. Pull it together. Shit, shit, shit. Beth whispers, but the man hears even under the rumbling engine from the helicopter blades as they cut the wind, as they bend slightly forward north over the water toward the mainland where they can officially call me dead. Beth pulls it together as a young man, Justin, insists. She fiddles with tubing that is administering fluids to my body. The fluids pour freely out into the gurney between my legs, the body incapable of functioning. The heart beating from persistent dose of epinephrine, and an oxygen bag pushing air into my lungs filling with fluid. The monitor whistles. The two try another tack. They switch places. The tight interior making movement difficult, but they appear used to these actions, stiff and exact. Another bell goes off. Blood pressure plummets. The pulse speeds. A pin light flicks on. Eyes glossy, unresponsive. Another alarm sings. No pulse. You take the chest. I'll bag and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Bag 1. Bag 2. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Bag 1. Bag 2. Pulse. They stop. The man listens with the stethoscope. Weak. Unsteady. The dinging continues from the BP monitor. Pressure's too low. The pilot chimes in. Descending. The paramedics feel their stomachs lift from the straight down drop to the heliport on the roof of the hospital, sitting directly above the ER. The air whips at the slower pace now. The pilot has cut power to the rotor blades. The chopper bumps to a sitting position, and he kills power to the engine. A gang of hospital people rush the chopper and wait with more equipment, more supplies, another bag on the wheeled pole, an ER doc, the one who calls my time of death when they get my body inside to an emergency room. Part 1, Mackenzie, the day before. The worst thing didn't happen until the next day. As I sit in this small space with nothing to do but look at four walls, I'm reminded of a saying that sometimes bad things happen to good people. The night before, however, Tessa rode her bike fast like she was angling to lasso the moon, which sat high at the end of the road over Old Man Johnson's cattle farm. The big yellow ball lolled around on top of a silhouette of gossamer evergreens, ones framing a large swatch of grazeland. The year before, Dad removed Tessa's training wheels. The bike had grown up, was now halfway between a tricycle and a teenager's bike. Her eyes nearly glowed when the trainers came off. Her smile, buoyant. We took a night ride, Tessa and me. Left Mom at home, stirring up dust with her favorite electric broom. Tuesday was a lazy fall night, one when the sun and the moon were in competition for the evening sky, and with the sun being selfish for time, trying to hang on to the day, even though it knew it should stop shining, give up, and go away. We'd stuck playing cards in the spokes of our tires to add to night sounds, those of crickets clicking, tree frogs chirping, A not-so-distant fox hacking out a cough to alert its scattered pack of ready food found. One doomed rabbit or kitty kibbles left out on someone's porch. An owl's song, up the hill deep in the woods to its mate, and the mate answering back like they were holding invisible hands across the horizon, not wanting to let go. The owl's song played while we rode. We split a deck, the carts, that is, each clipping 26 onto our tire spokes to alert any animals from darting out into the lane ahead. It's all we needed to sail into and crash over a raccoon crossing the street. No good for the coon, either. We also figured the carts might help Mr. Kinney here as he'd be taking one of his Long Island night rides after stopping him for beers at Haley's. But there was no one else in sight, and I didn't care if there was. I kept Tessa in front, keeping my eye out for her. Wind fluttered that silky sable ponytail of hers as we came off the downhill side of False Bay Drive when the road, at the end of the summer stripes, a path of thirsty grass along the straight where the cows grazed in the pasture, a pasture trimmed by a stand of golden poplars crooked and bending at the shoulders towards the north sky from steady wind coming off the water. The island seems out of place up here in the Pacific Northwest where most people think we live, year-round in slickers and galoshes. But that's a secret we have. Rainier Seattle gives our island a bad reputation, makes us soggy when we're not. We live in a banana belt, they call it, a rain shadow. So the island lacks the lush, drippy rainforest equated with the other parts of the Pacific Northwest. Each downstroke of my pedals matched a rhythm with the plastic ribbons whipping off Tessa's handlebars, whizzing like 1,000 bees around her hands. When she skidded in front of me, breaking her pedals hard, Tessa jumped off the straddle, so she was holding up her bike. I nearly rode over her foot trying to stop, but I yanked left and I missed her. I somehow avoided dumping my bike onto the pavement, a miraculous feat, by the way, given the suddenness of Tessa's stop, and remained upright. Didn't roll over her stupid foot either. My wheel slipped and swerved, for sure balding a spot on the rubber, but I caught myself before the bike flew out from under me. Still, I lithered ahead of her, going 10 feet. "What's wrong with you?" Anger flashed hot in my cheeks, spilled down my throat, and pooled into my chest. Tessa didn't explain. She was gaping up into the sky with that moon gaping back at her. "What?" I repeated, but this time we were both fixed on the dang moon. "Do you see it, Mac? The deer?" Tess was in the habit of starting, finishing, and rereading Thurber's The White Deer for like the millionth time, a read way above her grade. In fact, she slept with the stupid book. She'd fall asleep with it open-faced on her chest. Inevitably, it slid off her boobless body and onto the blanket. Then finally in the morning, she'd stick a crow feather in between some pages as a bookmark, where she'd leave the thing on the nightstand, ready for the evening when she'd turn in again and pick up where she left off. "There's no deer, dork, not in the moon." "And next," I said, more for my own amusement, "there's a man, but no deer." Then I said, "You need to read real stuff. You're getting weird. See its horns? Antlers, and no, I nearly broke your foot, stupid." Tessa didn't bother defending herself. She just shrugged and kept gawking at that old moon. "Hungry moon like that likes to eat 7-year-olds for dinner." "Nuh-uh," Tess answered. I rolled my bike backward up parallel to hers, close enough, so to sneak my hand around the back of her head and yank her ponytail. She snatched the long dark cable of hair away from my grip. "Don't!" Tessa said. I enjoyed hearing her whiny kid voice. Mom called it plaintive, but Mom likes to make things sound more sophisticated than they actually were. Like she'd call the chest of drawers a chiffonnier, and the patio the pergola. Mom wanted more out of life, and I suspected she had some regrets. And living on this island wasn't like living in New York City. She pined one night a couple of months back. "Not even Seattle. At least Seattle has an international flair," she'd said. Mom was beautiful, tallish, and could have been a model if she'd pursued it, but she fell in love, had kids. The whole "what happened to my life" syndrome had snagged her in a net she couldn't quite get out of. She talked about "after you kids are out of school" scenarios. A longing filled her words just enough to sense an underpinning of resentment. Her wide-set round eyes would shift to the window, outside, away and away, but not for long before she would chuckle. Not long when she sat up proper posture and say, "Oh, we wish on stars and mushroom caps for moon dust and fairies." I don't know where she had read it or heard it spoken or when, but she always repeated that phrase when she became wistful. Maybe from Grandma Kiki? Who knows? It really doesn't matter, but the oddity of the phrase like that will stick with you, you know? And although we had Spring Street School, an international school, the island was far from any concept of international. The island was mostly country. What? WTF? Town didn't even have a stoplight? Just stop signs and one abused turnabout of late. When I glanced sideways to Tess, I noticed a certain otherness in her expression, like we weren't alone, like the ghost of that deer she spotted in the moon had plopped onto her shoulders and was weighing her down. My heart broke when, in the dimming evening, a worry filled those deep eyes of hers, a watery shimmer from them that consumed the night. I think about that worry sometimes. It haunts me. "Come on," I said. "Mom's already in a snit," before we left. Wonder what the deer eats, Mac? Wonder if it's hungry. One thing it don't eat, Tess. Huh? "Cheese," I said, laughing, but Tessa didn't get it. She didn't know then, or ever, about the man in the moon or about the cheese the moon was allegedly made of. I liked the word allegedly at first. It was a vocabulary word we learned at the start of junior year, and I got it right on a pop quiz in homeroom spelling. Here in these next few sentences is how I use the word now. I allegedly was taking care of Tessa when we went to the park the next day, the day after looking at the deer moon. And I allegedly was not watching her when the car hit her. Allegedly became an important word for me after Tessa died. It's weird when I think back on how much I liked the word after learning it, and then how much I hated it afterward when I heard the cop use it. Allegedly, he'd said, the younger one was in the older sister's care. And then, as though no one understood, the older one was supposed to be watching the younger one. He said one, like we were buttons on a conveyor belt at some stupid button factory. The jerk. And then Mom showed up and fell apart, and that's all around the time I started counting the days of the moon as it grew in phases from crescent to half to gibbous to crescent again. I call it moon spying. I run outside every month when the moon is ripe to find the deer Tessa saw, but more to maybe spot my little sister somewhere inside that big old cheese wheel, seeing that dreamy face of hers searching for me. Maybe this time with Tessa riding the shoulders of the deer ghost, but mostly hoping for her to see me searching the moon.